This is the Frat House Sports Show. And now for this week's completely different and humorous perspective on everything sports, here's Frat House Mike and Sidekick.
Well, we got everybody back together again for our Easter show. First time we've all been together in about, 4 weeks, I guess it has been? We've got Sidekick in studio. We got Uncle Mark via Skype. And as I just pointed out, it is Easter, and, well, I hope I don't get struck by lightning, but, I kind of feel like I've risen from the dead myself. So, how you doing? You feeling better?
Well, the flu last week, and then, I got sunburned Saturday, and then turned around 32 degrees the other day. Now I got the post-nasal drip and the whole allergy thing going.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
We got the messages coming up on Facebook. It would be nice not to have frostbite and sunburn in the exact same week, and that's kind of the way it's been here. We've just talked about this winter and this weather ad nauseum for months now. We're so sick of it. But anyhow, Uncle Mark, you ready to talk sports for all of it, for everything we're doing here tonight, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Bring on all the sports. We've had all the seasons in 1 week.
Yeah. And we'll get to all the sports. How about that? How about we get to all of the sports in our top stories for this week? How about that? And we will kick it off with, hey, let's get it off with a little NFL chat this evening. Ralph Wilson, the former owners of the Buffalo Bills, passed away, I guess, about 4 weeks ago. Poor guy wasn't probably gone but 24 hours when the rumors almost immediately began kicking up.
We're moving to LA?
Yeah, right. No, that's the St. Louis Rams. But all the rumors began kicking up there in Buffalo about, well, who's going to be taking over the team? One of the names that came up this week was, began circulating was, how about Donald Trump? Yes, Donald Trump, who in fact came out and indicated, not once, but then ultimately reiterated, yes, folks, I am serious, he said, in making the purchase of the Buffalo Bills and becoming the new owner. Apparently, the going price for the Bills right now is rumored to be somewhere either just short of or just slightly over, thereabouts $1 billion. And according to attorneys and legal assistants, etc., of Donald Trump, apparently Trump, no issue whatsoever.
Plenty dough and plenty of it.
Yeah, and putting that kind of a figure up with or without any kind of ownership group. So whether he's got multiple partners or not, hey, Donald Trump is ready to go and take over the Buffalo Bills, and well, he's made all the right accolades apparently up to this point. He's indicated to the fan base there, nope, absolutely have no intention whatsoever of moving the team. Well, that's all they want to hear. One of the stumbling blocks, however, apparently is coming from the NFL themselves, who, I guess rightfully so, have a little bit of concern about perhaps maybe some of Donald Trump's interests in, say, entertainment / casino gambling. Yeah, could be a little bit of a red flag, huh?
Might be.
Been a little bit of a problem in things like, well, can we say baseball and college football in the past, and, horse racing. It's been a problem in other sports. Could be a problem if your owner has interest in casino gambling. But apparently, there were quite a few years ago, apparently, that Donald Trump had fully divested himself of his interest anyhow. Mm-hmm. And basically what he did was he became simply a stockholder in all of his casinos and any kind of entertainment / gambling entertainment industries he had. And, well, apparently, according to him and according to all of his analysts again, wouldn't be any problem whatsoever, any difficulty whatsoever in him unloading, and I don't think he'd have any trouble finding purchasers of that stock, would in fact sell all of that stock off. So easy enough for him to fully divest himself prior to apparently becoming any kind of ownership of an NFL team.
Right.
I throw it out. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, though, there is one stumbling block to that, and the other owners have to approve.
Of course.
Him as, you know.
Right. Now, and that kind of leads me out to throwing it open for quick conversation. Not only the owners, but how would we feel about it? Because, Sidekick, I'm going to throw it to you. I've read already in some areas that there are some people, forget the owners, forget the NFL, there are some folks that have indicated, columnists, what have you, they're not real thrilled about it. I personally don't have a problem with it.
Well, you know, I think from what I've been reading and researching, the fan base seems fine with it. Yeah. You know, hey, come on in, save the team. You know, he's promising I'm not going to move the team and anything like that. So the fan base is there. But I think what some of the columnists are trying to stir up some dirt from his previous football ownership of the New Jersey Generals, of the old USFL that folded. You know, and he had some questionable ideas or comments that he made during that tenure.
Of course, that was 30 years ago.
You know, but on the bright side, though, you're looking at this could be like a Jerry Jones kind of thing where he can come in here. If they need a stadium, he may build a stadium. You know, he may get the funding to get the stadium and keep it on himself, not necessarily on the city, because he wants to have that venture and stuff. Hopefully, he doesn't pull a Jerry Jones and want to micromanage the team and stuff. Another thing I heard kicking around is he's got some unique ideas for the team. He wants to do away with the old buffalo symbol. He wants to change it to dollar bills. And just have the money symbols up on the helmet. So $1 million, dollar bills, make it rain. Instead of Buffalo doesn't have, they're going to bring in strippers now.
Oh no,
and the NFL's got that whole cheerleader in a seat app thing going now.
Are they going to do a Seinfeld night?
This could be really interesting for Buffalo.
Yeah, absolutely. Uncle Mark, I mean, do you have any problem with dying? To me, one of the things that I brought up now numerous times already this week, Donald Trump's the kind of guy that, he doesn't like to lose. He obviously doesn't like to lose money. To me, this is a Buffalo Bills team I think that would be in better shape. Uncle Mark, what do you think?
Hey, listen, he's going to take one for the team by taking over the team. Listen, Donald Trump, you're hired. I got no problem with it.
There you go. All right, we're all in agreement. Owners, get it done. Let Donald Trump in the club, huh? All right. We just solved the problem. How about this one? Let's jump over and take a look at a little. Well, we said we were going to cover all the seasons. How about a little Major League Baseball in our top stories? And this is going to bring up one of your best friends, one Albert Pujols, over there at the Los Angeles / Anaheim Angels. Not quite sure, from one day to the next, I'm never quite sure how to refer to them. In his third season now with the Angels, been well documented. The first baseman didn't have a very good season last year, having missed over 60 games and ending the season with only 17 home runs and 64 RBIs. But nonetheless, consider for a moment the guy's in his 14th season, as I pointed out, his third with the Angels. And he's rather quietly, well, at least this season so far, he's hit himself in 15 games, 4 home runs and 10 RBIs in 15 games, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, and very quietly gotten himself to that 496 home run mark, just 4 shy of that kind of iconic 500 realm. And when I say iconic, 500 is kind of that magical number that everybody kind of reaches to. I guess kind of the old benchmark. Boy, you reach 500, but still nonetheless, consider only 25 players ever in the history of Major League Baseball have ever hit 500 home runs. Gets to that 500 mark, but he's done it so quietly, nobody's really even talking about it. And, again, I'm going to throw this one out for conversation. Maybe I'll start it off with Uncle Mark, because I never know what I'm going to get from this guy when it comes to Albert Pujols. Uncle Mark, my question, is this an issue of us all just kind of being numb to the numbers? In other words, well, 500, who cares? That's been done before. Or is it more of a kind of a cynicism from the PED padded era where we kind of look at it and go, well, is it really for real?
Yeah, for me, that's absolutely the case. I'm numb to the number. Quite frankly, you don't know who to trust. We've gone through so many home run hitters that are, coming under scrutiny now, and we're going to have to put asterisks. Listen, we should just repudiate all of those numbers that were put up by those lying cheaters, but we're not going to do that because this is Major League Baseball. So quite frankly, I would trust my next door neighbor to hit 500 home runs before I would trust a guy like Albert Pujols. And that's a real shame. It really is a shame because that's a spectacular accomplishment.
And Sidekick, let's go back to Pujols. And I mean, you're well documented as how you feel about this gentleman. But this is a guy who really hasn't been part of the taint of the PED era. He's a clean guy.
He's a clean overzealous.
Yeah, one overzealous.
From last season.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that was put to bed pretty quick.
Let's put bygones be bygones. Let's put the whole
I'm glad
thing
to see
behind
I'm glad to see you're growing up.
But let's take a look at numbers. You said there's 25 members of the 500 club. Prior to or up to 1965, there were only 4 players that had hit 500. There's been 10 in the last 15 years. Now, nearly or close to half of the 25 in the club have links to PEDs.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where the problem comes in. One is, you've got the players that are linked to the PEDs, kind of diluting it.
You're right.
And then you've got, 600 is the new 500 now. We're so used to the 500. Because you've got names like Barry Bonds, A-Rod, McGuire, Sosa, Ramirez, Ralphio Primera, Gary Sheffield, links to PED usage that are in the 500 club.
Right.
And then you talk about the non-PED guys, and tell me if you've heard that any of these guys have hit over 500. Ken Griffey Jr., Frank Thomas, and Jim Thome. Right. The PED guys hit 500, but did you know that those other 3 guys were in the club as well, but no links to PED usage?
Exactly.
So
you're basically what you're saying is it's probably a combination of both, but probably more to the fact that we've just become cynical with regard to the whole PED era. Yeah. Now, all right. Again, assuming that Pujols is a clean guy, a straight guy. He's got 8 years remaining on his contract with the Angels. He's going to hit 500. 600, 8 years remaining. More than possibility, maybe likely. How about this? Is it possible he could break the Barry Bonds record and hit himself, what would be the number? 763, which would wipe out Barry Bonds from the record book, and that's what we all want. Is that a possibility?
Well,
now you're talking 263 more home runs between, I guess 267.
I guess it's within the realm of possibility. He'd have to average like 32 or 34 runs a season over the next 8 years to kick Barry Bonds off the list.
Right.
Having said that, though, I saw a number or a stat that no one over a certain age has hit the number of home runs that he needs. Due to his age and that cutoff, and I've seen other names like Cabrera thrown out there who have a better chance because they're younger and they've got more time, they've got more average home runs up to this point, so they've over the rest of their career they potentially have a better shot at it than Pujols.
Well, interestingly though, I remember way back in Griffey's early days, there was talk that he might have been the one that ultimately would have held the all-time record, but of course then injuries come into play and what have you, and all of those things come into factor to take that time away, and it doesn't ultimately happen. Right now, as you're pointing out, Pujols is on average, at least for this season right now, with 4 already under his belt, he's on average to hit 43. So he would be a slightly over the average that you're calling for that would be required over those 8 years.
Yeah. Now, if he could have a couple above average years before that drop off, get a couple in before that drop-off, then sure, I'm sure that increases his odds
would be
of getting there.
And that's basically all we're asking for, isn't it? Well, all of us that are out there, we just want to see that.
See, I don't know, though. See, that's where I may have to kind of call it a little bit.
You're letting it creep back in again.
You're letting it creep back in again. Bygones be bygones, but, I don't know if I necessarily want him knocking Barry Bonds off.
Oh, no.
I do want to see Barry Bonds get out of there.
That's a violation.
But, yeah.
All right.
We'll have to see. I got 8 years to warm up to the idea.
All right, let's get over and one more season we're going to touch on real quick. Let's go touch on something over in the NHL, and I know Uncle Mark's going to want to jump in on this one. Something that we've talked about here numerous times just this year already with regard to the NHL, and that is their participation in the Olympics that comes up every 4 years. And of course, we just got done having the Olympics this past February in Sochi, 2016. Now, there was an interesting analysis that was completed the other day over on Yahoo's Puck Daddy website. Studies apparently have been done over numerous Olympiads, including this most recent 2016 Sochi Games. And there does seem to be a pattern that reflects that teams that send more players to the Olympic Games will ultimately, those players, well, they have an adverse effect on goal production for their respective teams once they come back and resume play in the NHL after having participated in the Olympics. According to Puck Daddy, that was the trend in 2012 and it continued in 2016. According to the analysis, quote, the goal differential of teams that sent 7 or more players to the Olympics, which included this year Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis, Anaheim, Montreal, the Rangers, Pittsburgh, and Vancouver, collectively dipped by an average of .33 or 1/3 of a goal per game. Of those teams, the Canucks failed to make the playoffs, but they were in a position for a postseason berth when the Olympic break began. Okay, Uncle Mark, let me bring you.
Let me cut in real quick.
Yep.
Because we kind of know where Uncle Mark's going with this, but I've got some worries about his numbers here.
Okay.
Because we're in 2014, and so he's saying 2012 and 2016. He might want to check.
Yeah, that's my fault. That's my fault. Those are my typos. Sorry.
Well, no, but I read the article. He says in the article 2012.
Oh, okay.
So I question his analysis.
All right. I thought that was my typo, actually. But all right.
Well, perhaps he was talking about field hockey and the Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he meant to say. Listen,
go ahead, Uncle Mark. Unload on this one.
Here's what I would say about this. First of all, I question not only the veracity of the fuzzy math that I consider this to be, this report, but I also question the timing of it because not minutes after touching down back from the Olympics, Bettman and Daly decided to make it clear that they don't really want to participate from an NHL standpoint in the Olympics going forward anyway. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, voila, we have numbers which would support their theory that, in fact, our game's getting hurt by an international world stage competition that occurs once every, count 'em, 4 years. Mm-hmm. Now, look, I'm an NHL nut. I'm not going to say I'm not, and I like the game. And there's nothing in collective bargaining which would prevent these Olympians from going back to their country and playing. To me, it's the greater good. It's the bigger thing. I'm all for these guys going home to play for the Olympics, and I'm not buying that, they come back and they can't, they've lost their scoring touch. They can't find the back of the net. I think it's poppycock. I think it's boulder dash, and I'll leave it at that.
Interesting. So, in fact, what you're saying is you don't agree with the analysis done by Puck Daddy on this one?
What gave it away, Mike?
Yeah, but
again, listen. They're looking at. Are they looking at individual players? Are they doing this over a series of more than one Olympiad, talking about maybe 2 Olympiads. I don't know. I'm not buying it. I have trouble with it because, quite frankly, the NHL does not want to be part of the Olympics. They have their own game in mind. They want a World Cup kind of thing to return. That's what they want to control.
Sure. Go ahead.
That's right. Yeah, but how much is the game being diminished by a average of a third of a goal a game?
Right.
How much is that diminishing the product?
Right.
Well, I mean, look, if we're talking, Uncle Mark, 30-plus games? I mean...
Well, I'll tell you what, more to the point.
It could be a difference. It could be a difference in a win or a loss, and that could be the difference as it was with Vancouver in making the playoffs or not. Yeah. I mean,
hey, listen, here's where I go with it, and even this I'm going to hedge on. If they return from the Olympics and they're injured, and we saw 4 or 5 key players that came back from the Olympics, they were injured, that delayed their return to their pro game. Understood. But even that I'm not going to buy. If you wanted to put together a study, a feasibility of, by going to the Olympics, you come back, you're injured, here's proof of it. Well, playing the game, you might be injured. So what's it? It's a wash. It doesn't prove anything. To me, this is a gratuitous study put in place to just help the NHLPA be leveraged out of going to the Olympics. Done. That's how I see it.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. Those are our big stories for this week. All right, let's move it on over. As we pointed out, we keep mentioning it's spring. I guess we have to kind of keep talking ourselves into believing it because, as you just pointed out, this winter just hasn't given up, and it sure hasn't felt like springtime around here at the Frat House.
Unlike the Sixers, it just won't quit.
Well, they quit. They're done. But listen, it's Easter time, and we'll go along with the fact that everybody's telling us it's spring, and that means that we need to carve out a little bit of time in our weekly show here for our Major League Baseball chat. And this week, our MLB segment is brought to you by our good friends Carl and Jim over at CLW83, CLW83.com. Where you can catch Jim's regular podcast, his Baseball Touch 'em All podcast. Make sure you're listening to that and all the other great programming they have over at CLW83. And, we haven't done this in a while, but since
it's been a long time.
It has. And since we're reintroducing our baseball segment, I thought perhaps maybe what I do is bring up a few Screwy Stories.
It's time again for Frat House Mike's Screwball Stories.
Alrighty, well.
How we've missed it.
Yes, nice sound. We like that sound. It sounds like spring.
I want Cracker Jacks.
Some peanuts?
The Washington Nationals. How about we start right there? They were certainly getting sniped at from all different angles this week. So much so that, my gosh, it happened on Sunday and Monday, then it happened on Tuesday and Wednesday. I was actually starting to feel bad for the Washington Nationals. Were you No, we weren't feeling bad for the Washington Nationals at all.
Me?
No, not at all. Listen, first thing that happened, the interactive, there was an interactive entry placed on the Washington Nationals history article that appears out over on the community-contributed Wikipedia page for the Washington Nationals, which temporarily listed the Atlanta Braves as the owner of the Nationals.
That's
there
brilliant.
There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anyway.
Actually, I don't know. That might be intelligent. This was an obvious reference to the fact that the Braves have beaten the Nationals in 18 of their past 25 face-to-face matchups.
And now, swept the opening series.
Oh, okay, there you go. Well, which is why it was just put up there recently. Now, apparently, it appeared exactly this way on the website for about 12 hours or so, about 12 hours from Sunday night into Monday morning before it was finally corrected by site administrators. Now, that's just the first one. Later on in the week, the Washington Nationals fans were whipped into a lather by a DC sports talk radio station, railing against a promotional Baltimore Orioles billboard that appeared in the DC region just 7 miles from Nationals Park. Oh, boo-hoo. Oh, seriously? Huh? Really? Cry? Oh, come on, get over it, will you? Listen, this coming from a fan base and from a team that been whining for years now and has been trying to keep out-of-town fans, ban them from coming into their park. I mean, this is ridiculous. I got one thing to say, get over it, you gnats. This is ridiculous. I mean, they share the same, basically the same market.
The same family, yeah. And as far as them keeping them out, they didn't keep us out. We were there.
And that was the year that they were trying to keep Philadelphia Phil's fans out of it.
And we won't go back because that joke of a stadium.
Here we go.
I mean, come on. You know, we did it in a weekend. We went to Camden Yards.
Yeah, we went to Camden Yards. That was our first mistake, going there the night before.
Yeah, and you got the outfield and all the all that beautiful ballpark. Then we go down to National Stadium. It's this dungy, gray.
I don't like confrontations.
Crap. The outfield is a parking garage. I'm sorry.
What the hell is happening?
Why do they want to keep anybody out? Nobody wants to go there.
Oh,
Not even their own fan base wants to go there.
No.
I mean, come on, give me a break.
We are going to be getting ripped by Nationals fans. Thank you very much, Mike.
Oh, what are they going to do? Shut us down like Strasburg? Come on. Give me a break.
Frat House Sports will be banned from the DC region. We won't be able to get in via internet even.
Whatever. I'm still getting in. I'm still going to be heckling at the game.
Oh.
I'll go when the Cards are in town.
Let me give you something else to heckle about. How about that? We're going to give you something else to heckle about.
Albert Pujols again?
No. No,
okay.
You've had your share on that one. This season, fans, we have been introduced to the concept of manager challenges and umpire/officiating reviews. And our esteemed commissioner, Bud Selig, declared the other day the rollout of the system as quote-unquote remarkable. I contend that he failed to finish his sentence. Probably his old age and what have you, and he just kind of stumbled and forgot the rest of his sentence.
Alzheimer's kicked
in. Yeah, exactly, which should have been that the review process has been remarkably stupid. All right? He was quoted as saying, quote, we've had really very little controversy. What is he watching? Seriously? Very little controversy overall. Everything in life will have a little glitch here and there where you do something new. And our guys are right on top of it. You bet. But I'm saying to you, again, you'll hear about the one or two controversies, but look at the calls that have been overturned. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment, because interestingly, it seems that our commissioner is judging the successes of this system, all right, on how many calls have been overturned, all right, which to me is an interesting assessment, because basically what he's saying is, look, we're getting it right because the judges we have on the field, see, they're getting it wrong, and we know they're getting it wrong, so we're getting it right on the backside. What?
I think the fans are getting it right on the backside.
You haven't got a brain.
Exactly. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we should have I think we'll challenge. I think I just made the wrong call there.
I mean, think about the logic of what he just said. On the numerous occasions, and I'm going to throw this out for a real quick conversation. On the numerous occasions that, and I know you've watched some baseball, we've seen some baseball here at the Frat House. In fact, I've probably seen more of it. I've had to tolerate this whole time-wasting nuisance of a system. Here's how it's breaking down to me. It just seems to me that this has become a novelty that managers are looking at, and every game they're going, oh, we got to get our challenge in. We got to get our challenge in. Your turn. You throw the. It's my turn. And they both, both teams are participating in this whole thing, almost out of this whole novelty situation. And the whole thing to me we like it, as I pointed out before, we like it in football. We've come to understand it in football. We appreciate it in football. And I think in football, it makes a lot of sense and it's warranted. Here, for some reason or another, to me, it's just not working. You're a baseball fan. What have you seen? What are you thinking watching this?
Well, the thing with baseball is, it's a great sport, okay? It's a great sport that you can sit down and start watching, go cook dinner, and come back to.
True,
all right?
Right.
Or whatever, run an errand or do something, come back, and, they're in,
and you can pick up from where you left off, basically.
Exactly.
Right.
So now you're talking about slowing the game down even more by putting this instant replay system in, and then you're giving it to managers and coaches for each team. I agree with instant replay in baseball, as long as it's at the league level,
right?
Like you have, like in football, all scoring plays are reviewed by the booth. I think it should be taken out of the hands of the clubs and strictly be on a league basis.
Right.
Things like, the foul ball. Was it a home run? Was it a foul ball?
Right.
Plays that matter in a game. Right. It shouldn't be just another chess piece.
Was he safe or was he out? At second base. Which is what we're seeing. Those are the kinds of calls that we're seeing called on.
Yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to point out that apparently up to this point, just as of, up to Tuesday apparently, roughly 1/3, 33% of the challenges had been overturned. And so therefore what it's doing is, in my opinion, is it's encouraging managers to continue to use it and to call it, even when maybe it's flimsy and they know it might be flimsy because, look, hey, there's a 1/3 chance that I might get it overturned. So I don't think you're going to see the activity diminished at all. Yes?
Yeah, because basically it breaks down into thirds. Roughly about a third of them have been overturned. A third of them have been inconclusive. And then the other third were upheld.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
It's like, it's free money,
And our commissioner is saying our commissioner is saying this is a good job.
Yeah.
Uncle Mark, anything to say on this one?
Well, it just seemed to me in the first week or two that we started this process, there was a lot of dispatch in handling the challenges, and the rulings were finalized, and there was no per se real drag on the game. But this has just become a protracted gimmick. As you say, Frat House Mike, I think it's become stupid. We sit on these challenges, and I agree with Sidekick. There's too many people involved in even making a challenge. I challenge the challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Where are we going from here?
Thank
I
you
object.
very much.
No, I object. No, I object.
I counter challenge.
What the heck?
I shall.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Bring back that. I like that better.
Come on.
Listen, Earl Weaver's turning in his grave, for God's sake. I'm seriously.
You got to believe it.
Yep,
Human
absolutely.
element is almost out of the game.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk a little human element. How about this bit of human element? Big-time Seinfeld fans will remember that there was a tremendous amount of baseball reference in the entire sitcom series. If you remember, George worked for the Yankees and George Steinbrenner. Jerry was flagrant about his passion for the New York Mets, and frequently there were appearances by former Met Keith Hernandez, who had more than cameo appearances in numerous Seinfeld episodes.
I'm Keith Hernandez.
Yeah, exactly. One Mets single A affiliate, the Brooklyn Cyclones, have taken the Seinfeld team, in my opinion, a bit too far perhaps, by scheduling a promotional Seinfeld night for July 5th. Scheduled promotions, and these are just a handful of them, gentlemen, include a Keith Hernandez bobblehead giveaway. The ballpark will be renamed to Vandalay Industries Park. Fans wearing a Newman-like postman uniform, they get to throw out the first ball. There will be a dance like a lane contest, and Cyclones players will wear puffy pirate shirts during batting practice.
You know what would make this story even better?
Go ahead.
Is if they put up a billboard 7 miles from National Stadium advertising the Seinfeld theme night.
Mets, are you listening? He just came up with a great one. There it is.
I love it. And we could say, it's the summer of George, and these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Nothing like baseball, particularly minor league baseball promotions. Of course, I don't know if anything comes anywhere near your Cocoa Crisp
Chia Pet head.
Chia Pet, yes. Yes,
That was awesome.
I wish I had the number of the show, the Frat House, the 5 minutes at the Frat House show from last summer.
Yeah, well, and I
got to go back and look that one up.
And I talked about it on the Touch 'Em All podcast.
Touch 'Em All, yes, you brought it up there, yes.
And those guys didn't believe me. They were Googling it. And they're like, you gotta be kidding.
Cocoa Crisp. Okay, all right. All right, well, there's our baseball segment for this week. We'll be bringing it to you again, you can bet. And when we do again, it'll be brought to you by our friends over at CLW83. CLW83.com. Get over there. Check them out. Many, many thanks to you guys for helping us out. We appreciate it. All right, that leads us into NHL, frozen ponds, all that kind of stuff.
Thawing ponds now.
What is it?
Thawing ponds.
Well, we hope so in the spring.
I hope not. We don't want them thawing just yet. We can't have them thawing too much. Lots and lots to get into with the NHL. And our hockey segment this evening, more good friends of ours. How about our folks down in Baltimore and Washington? They're getting along. No problem there. No problem at herbfm.com. They got no issue. What's the matter with the Orioles and the Nationals fans?
Apparently
Chris,
they're not happy.
Chris, you got to talk to them.
Any of this getting through to you, son?
Yeah, really. herbfm.com, Herb FM Sports Radio. Many, many thanks to these guys. They broadcast us all the time. Saturday afternoons at 3 o'clock, we're getting rebroadcast this evening. Our show from last week's game rebroadcast this evening on there. But segment brought to you by them this evening. That means we got to get to our hat trick segment with Uncle Mark. And Uncle Mark, we had second season actually began last evening with the first round of the playoffs. We had a couple of games, 3 of them last night. We sat and watched almost all of those, and we got games going on tonight. Run it down for us. What are the playoffs looking like?
Yeah, that's right, Mike. We'll kick it off with the Metropolitan Division leading champions, Pittsburgh Penguins. They hosted and defeated first wild card team from the East Columbus Blue Jackets by a score of 4-3 in what is just the second playoff appearance by Columbus in franchise history.
Yep.
Now, Columbus is probably being looked at from the outside as just lucky to have gotten this far, but the mindset with the club is tempered for that assumption. It's playoff hockey, and really anything can happen. Pucks bounce, random opportunities occur, and at the end of the day, the Blue Jackets know that lucky might just be all they need to stand up to Sid Crosby and Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, if there's one weakness I can point to with Pittsburgh, it's a rather porous defense, and that became glaring last night as Columbus built up a surprising 3-1 lead early in the second period. On the flip side, the Penguins are all offense. They can score with any team in the league. They're loaded, and I mean stacked with talent. We know the names: Evgeny Malkin, James Neal, Chris Kunitz, Jussi Jokinen. All these guys carry the mail. Columbus, not so much. They really don't have many big star power names. Ryan Johansson, Brandon Dubinsky. Not so much. But even still, they have a great goaltender in Sergei Bobrovsky, and they found solid goaltending with him to give a chance to win almost any night. Now, listen, nobody outside Columbus, as I say, has really given this Blue Jackets team any chance of getting past round one. But their grit, their never-say-die attitude could very well see this series become, well, sort of a coming-out party for them. And they might just get lucky with a Pittsburgh team taking them a little too lightly.
Right. Now, real quick, that game last night, as you pointed out, Columbus had a 3-1 lead. That's got to be that's a stake in the heart, you would think, for a team like Columbus. They ultimately ended up losing 4-3.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, again, you've got to understand how loaded with talent, and it's almost like flipping a switch with those guys, Malkin and Crosby and Chris Kunitz. They can turn it on, and they can outscore you. But let's not forget, they gave up 3.
Yep.
They can give up 4. They can give up 5. On any given night, a goaltender like Marc-Andre Fleury can melt.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, the other game that happened last night in the East, Montreal is the lesser seed against the Tampa Bay Lightning, but boy, Montreal looked awful strong last night.
Yeah, well, last night pitted a number 2 Tampa Bay and number 3 Montreal down in Florida. And I don't know about you, but when I think of Stanley Cup playoffs, I think of overtime. And in last night's game, it took exactly that, overtime, to finally square this away with Canadians beating Tampa 5-4. What was less surprising to me than overtime was actually the fact that these two teams put up 9 goals between them, when in 4 games all year they only scored 11 goals between them. Listen, the bottom line, Tampa Bay's without their starting goaltender, Ben Bishop. They've got a backup in Anders Lindback. They're hoping this kid is going to be able to fill in capably at a very, very pivotal time of year. For Montreal, forget about it. Danny Briere just continues to be a monster despite his age and time in the league. He tallied assist number 109 in playoff game 108 last night on the game winner. Brian Giunta from Montreal, once considered way too small for this league, he just continues to blow away expectations, managing to put up a shorthanded goal for Montreal to tie it at 2. I'll tell you what, Montreal has a record of 4-8 in postseason. Tampa has a postseason record right now of 11-7. If the Lightning have to rely on Lindback, and if the Lightning allow Montreal to control the tempo and hold them to 8 or less shots a period, as they did last night in their home barn, this series may be over before the Lightning ever get a chance to strike.
Well, I know I picked Montreal in this one. I don't know. Do you remember who you picked in this one?
I didn't get my picks in lock.
Oh, violation. That's a violation. All right, listen, in the only game that occurred out west last night, the conference-winning Anaheim faced off with the second wild card, the Dallas Stars, in the late game. And make no mistake about 2 things in this series, gentlemen. Number 1, Timo Solani is on his farewell tour, and it's made sweeter with every win that he gets with Anaheim. And number 2, the Dallas Stars are not only considered underdogs, they're actually classified as a pushover to be dispensed with by the much more talented Ducks. That being said, it took Anaheim more effort than they probably were prepared to exert in order to beat Dallas 4-3 in a game out on that left coast. Capitalizing on the power play, making it respectable. That's what Dallas could only hope to do. And they finally did after trailing 4-0. They did finally get back to make it a respectable 4-2 to end the second period.
Yep.
Rookie goaltender Frederik Andersen, who's in, allowed just one more goal for Dallas in the third period tally, but they escaped with the win. Anaheim's roster is all about no fear for the Ducks fans. They have all the talent. It's sort of like Pittsburgh. Defensively, they've got, where am I? Pardon me, lost my notes. The Dallas plan revolves around 3 aspects. Speedy, relentless attack, using the duo of Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn, and tremendous ability in their game to raise it against better opponents. The Ducks have every reason to win right now. They hold the edge in every way. Dallas could be a spoiler here, and the longer they hang around and Anaheim lets them back in, the brighter they could shine and really cause some noise.
Now, there you go. One game going on right now. Uncle Mark, got to talk about it around here. Going on in the East.
Yeah, well, you got the Flyers and the Rangers, and let's be honest with you, psychological advantage right now has to go to New York because they're hosting the 2 opening games here in Philly, and Philly can't win in that barn and hasn't done so for the last 8 consecutive games. Now, New York struggled to score down the stretch at the end of the season, and that kind of is a surprise because you've got Martin St. Louis and Brad Richards and Brian Boyle and puck-carrying defensemen and McDonough and Dan Girardi, and we know that their goaltender, once he gets in the zone, that Henrik Lundqvist, he can win games all by himself. Problem is he can only stop the goals. He can't really score them. Now, the Flyers are a bunch of who, they. Nobody really knows this team that well. They aren't loaded with superstars, but obviously Claude Giroux, Jacob Voracek, Wayne Simmons. Those guys jump right out as top names. But believe it or not, this team features 7 different 20-goal scorers for the Flyers all year long. This game's going to go 6 games at least, gentlemen. It's probably going to go 7, and I wouldn't be surprised if the host team continues to win on their ice.
Interesting.
Well,
we got an update.
I was going to say, update, that game is over. The Rangers took it 4-1 over the Flyers.
All right.
All right. So they've got some work cut out for them. They are looking for their injured starter, Steve Mason, to return to the pipes. Probably not for Saturday. However, we're not sure. We'll see what comes.
We're not sure. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. And I believe that's a Sunday game, actually.
All right, a Sunday
game. Game that is going on, I'm almost positive. Still, out in the West, we got Sidekick's St. Louis Blues playing, huh?
Yeah, they're playing the defending Stanley Cup champion Chicago Blackhawks, and quite frankly, they probably wish coming out of the gate they didn't have to face Chicago.
But
because, well, quite frankly, St. Louis has gone cold at the worst possible time, and their injuries have piled up like you can't believe. At last check, the numbers were staggering of the names out injured. David Backes, T.J. Oshie, Patrick Berglund, Brendan Morrow, Derek Waugh, Alex Pietrangelo. All these guys are probable to return sometime in the first round. The problem is everybody except Pietrangelo are forwards, and that's how they base their formidable reputation of offensive skill. The upside then, all season long, St. Louis has scored by committee. And they've counted on Alexander Steed, Steve Ott, Maxime Lapierre, and they've kicked in successfully. You know, that Hawks team, they're expecting back their number 1 and number 2 guys, and that's Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane. Even without them, though, that team is just loaded and probably one of the most balanced teams on paper, defensively and offensively. Corey Crawford is reliable. They've got great D-men in Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook. It's obvious what St. Louis has done right. At the trade deadline, they put all their chips on the table and they pulled in the big fish, which was goaltender Ryan Miller. And they're hoping he's the last piece of the puzzle. If they get healthy, and I think they will, it's going to take them maybe 7 games to get by the Chicago. But if they do, even in 7, there's nobody in the West they can't beat, I believe.
Right.
I would agree with you.
Just to give you a couple updates, Patrick Kane was back. He scored a goal tonight.
Excellent.
St. Louis got everybody back except for T.J. Oshie and Patrick Berglund.
Right. Oshie might have concussed. That was a pretty nasty hit he took.
Yeah. And the Blackhawks are winning 3-2 right now.
All right, they're going to continue to make that close. Don't be surprised to see overtime.
Second intermission. Yep. All right, another game that we're going to be kicking off this evening out there in the West. Uncle Mark, you're high on the Avalanche.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, division-winning Avalanche are going to host the wild card number 1 team in, ironically enough, the Minnesota Wild. And that's going to happen tonight at about 7:30. Their time's going to be about 9:30 our time. Now, forget the metaphors of burying opponents and Rocky Mountain High scoring that the team's been known for. The Wild have made it amazingly in the push for the playoffs at the very, very last second. They quietly rebranded into a contender. And it didn't happen overnight. It happened all year long. Now, back in July of 2012, Minnesota GM Chuck Fletcher pitched the news to everybody in Minnesota. The big news, they landed the big fish from that free agency period, namely Ryan Suter and Zach Parise. Right. It's a crazy, crazy contract, 13 years in length, $98 million. Everybody said you have just franchised your future. But here we are less than 2 years later, and hey, maybe it's about time. There's going to be a return on that investment. The Avalanche have the best defense, number 4 in the league. They have a tremendous goaltender in Semyon Varlamov. He's been stalwart all year in the pipes. He's had Vezina Trophy attached to his name for most of the year. And golly, if he were to fall down, how about we bring in Jean-Sebastien Giguère, who's only a Stanley Cup winning backup himself? Okay, on the flip side, boy, that Minnesota Wild, it took everything they could to get into this playoffs, and that means every goaltender and then a few. They've used 4 different in platoon. Nicholas Backstrom, the starter, went out injured. The backup, Josh Harding, he went out injured. Most recently, they've been playing Darcy Kemper and Michael Granlund. Now, Colorado's got all the firepower. Minnesota has more of the defense, more of the tenacity. If the Wild can continue to live up to that name and continue to be wild, this may not be the 4-game sweep everybody is expecting.
Right. There you go.
All right. Our 4th game, might as well hit it. It's the latest for those of us that are trying to keep it up on the East Coast. That's going to be our number 2 Pacific Division leading San Jose Sharks. They're going to host their California rival, the LA Kings. And men, there is no love lost. This is a repeat of last year in the second round. It took these 2 teams 7 games to finally come to a decision. It was ultimately dominated by the Sharks. The problem was the Sharks just couldn't figure out one problem. Unfortunately, it's the same problem they had this year. And it's a goaltender named Jonathan Quick, and he happens to play for, you betcha, Los Angeles. Now, the Sharks are a bit older, and they are loaded with some fast skating players and a couple of wily old veterans in Patrick Marleau and Joe Thornton. The team rallies around their goaltenders. Their redefined and designed approach to the game by Coach Darryl Sutter stresses not only responsibility but appreciation of exactly what it means to play in these playoffs. Jeff Carter, Justin Williams, Marin Gaborik, Dustin Brown, you know the names. These guys won a cup in 2012. So don't fill up on salad, because this is a big entree. This particular series could be the best of the bunch, I believe, in the West.
Wow.
I intend on catching this one, and let's face it, all these home games are going to be late games, folks, because we're coming either from the Sharks' house or we're coming from the LA house.
Yep.
So if you're planning on following this, you're going to have to stay up late.
You got it. 1 game tomorrow, and not one game, but the last of game 1s tomorrow.
Right.
And that's the number 1 team in the entire NHL, the Boston Bruins.
Boo.
Yeah, man.
Detroit Red Wings, I mean, this is a team that didn't look like they could even make it into the playoffs. This is an easy one for the Bruins, right?
Well, you might think so. Now, it's a funny thing, and I'll remind you all that NHL realignment that occurred in the offseason brought Detroit to the East.
Yep.
Now, last year, a very, very also dominant Boston Bruins team ran 12-4 against all the Eastern teams in the playoffs, but that didn't include Detroit. That machine was still listed out west. Another little fun fact for you, this is our only original 6-team matchup in the first round, for those of you keeping score at home. You got to hold on there when you start giving all the credit to a very loaded Bruins, with stars like Jerome McGillivray and of course the giant Zdeno Chara.
Right.
Last year, Detroit took it to Anaheim Ducks, and they beat them in the first round. They then went on to give the future Chicago, Stanley Cup winners everything they could handle through 7 games. Now, the problem is the Red Wings all year have been missing a key component. Somebody's injured here, somebody's injured there. They just haven't been able to cobble together a complete team. So a lot of credit to Coach Babcock for getting out of this team as much as he did. Now, while fans are praying right now that goalie Jimmy Howard remains healthy, and if not, that Jonas Gustafsson can become serviceable in his absence. You know, Boston's got every reason to win. Everybody's picking them to come out of it.
Yeah.
They are now the machine that Detroit once was. But, Detroit all year, they've just silently gone ahead with a mindset of business as usual. And in playoff time, folks, anything's possible. I give an edge to Detroit, absolutely, for experience.
How about that one? All right. A couple other little sidebars you got for us real quick?
Yeah, real quick and dirty, just to clean up some housekeeping. You know, we talk about all the teams that are in the playoffs. I mean, quite a few teams are finding their coaches on the hot seat because they're out of playoff competition. We just recently saw Barry Trotz, after 16 years, the only coach with the Predators. He was finally given the axe. A handful of teams are going to keep their coaches in line, but there's a whole bunch more where the hot seats really turned up high. That deplorable Toronto Maple Leafs team is wondering if they're going to keep Randy Carlyle. The Hall of Famer Adam Oates coach, is he going to return to the Washington Capitals? John Tortorella, who can forget? My golly, nobody ever will. He was the coach of the Canucks. Is he going to make it for a second season? Frat House Mike, you said a week ago you thought it'd be a shame if he didn't. And, of course, the fill-in coach, the interim coach who was named head coach this year, Peter Horacek, out there in Florida Panthers. Nobody's quite sure what's going to go on with that team. The only upside, will give them a sideways congratulations. They did wind up winning the NHL lottery, and they get the first overall pick in the NHL draft for 2014. So we can only hope there's better days ahead and greener pastures for those guys. On the very, very back end of it, the New Jersey Devils, no, they're not going to be selecting anywhere in the top 13, 14, no, how about number 30? And that's due to a penalty of giving away all their picks in order to achieve that Ilya Kovalchuk and a stupid contract from which he walked away from, how about 2 years ago? They're still paying for that one.
Yeah, I was going to say, how's that working out for him?
Yeah, listen, not too good.
One of the rumored names I've heard real quick for the Predators, how about Peter Laviolette? Still on the burner?
Well, hold on. I'm being told by my secretary right now that Peter Laviolette is on line 1. So let me get back to you. We'll see. I'll tell you what, he'd be great for them. He'd be great for them.
All right, there you go. There's our...
What's the problem now?
Yeah, really. There's our...
about culture.
There's our NHL segment for this week. You can bet we're going to be back at it next week, and we'll bring you all up to date on all of the playoffs as we continue forward. I guess we got about 2 months. 2 months of the playoffs, I think, thereabouts. All right, before we get to anything else, let's go over to... Yes, that's right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to CLW, or not CLW. How about Herb FM? I had it highlighted. It's highlighted. See, Herb FM.
I don't do that.
Herb FM Sports Radio. It's getting late. For helping us out with our NHL segment this evening. Many thanks, guys, down there. Thank you. All right. Before we get out of here, let's go take a look at our Frat House Sports Facebook post of the week. Nicely enough, marries everything all together, marries in our webpage, marries in our hockey segment, and that is an article that you just heard from him. Our NHL analyst, Uncle Mark, put together for us this week, one of his many articles he writes for us numerous times over there on the NHL. This week's article titled, "Your Team's in the Championship? That's a riot." Got to check it out. It's a funny one. It's a good one, and it's over. And the only place you can read it is over on our website. So, go to our Facebook page, all right? You'll find the link for it there. But while you're at the Facebook page, give us a like, then click the link, get to our website, frathousesports.net. Am I getting all this right? Then you can read the article. Then you can read the article, and we got it all together.
By that handsome devil right there.
There it is. Yeah, there it is.
And listen, if you go to frathousesports.net, you can like our Facebook page from there.
Right there.
So it doesn't matter. I mean, you can't go wrong. What do we need to do? Come over to your house and drag you to the computer?
Well, you've actually given them the better thing to do there, Uncle Mark. Just go right to the one site. frathousesports.net, like the Facebook page, and read the article all at the same time.
There you go.
We got
one and done. One and done, like, NCAA to NBA.
One and done. Not like this.
One and done.
No.
Now go away, or I shall tell you a second time.
Listen, it was good to get everybody back together again. I'm glad
it seems like
keep it this way. Huh?
It seems like we just did this, too.
What the hell is happening? Who's in charge there?
Alrighty. Well, one more thing you got to do for us. First of all, have a nice holiday. If you're celebrating the holiday this weekend, happy Easter. Yes.
Be happy.
That's Uncle Mark's like.
Because I'm happy. I don't know the words, but
The other thing you got to do for us, keep us real, keep us live, keep us going. We'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Have a nice holiday.
that's right, Mike.
That's right.
Philadelphia boasts what I like to refer to as the who roster. What? Horton, here's a who.
What? What? Oh my goodness.
Think somebody's happy.
I think I'm happy.
Oh no, no, no.
Is that good?
Diarrhea gets me crappy.
He's still going. Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. That's fine. That's fine.